The Paris Miracle, how PSG stunned Tottenham in a comeback for the ages. The calm before the storm, Paris, a city that thrives on elegance, emotion, and flair. But on this particular night, under the bright floodlights of the Super Cup final, the atmosphere inside the stadium was thick with tension. This wasn't just another match, it was redemption in motion. Luis Enrique's men had been written off before kickoff. Critics called PSG a team of stars without soul, talent without unity. Tottenham, on the other hand, arrived with quiet confidence, a well-drilled unit under a manager who believed in structure, control, and discipline. But football, as it always reminds us, isn't played on paper. It's played on emotion, and this night in Paris would prove it. The whistle blew, and immediately the tone was set. Tottenham pressed with precision, cutting off PSG's build-up, forcing mistakes. Within minutes, the North London side found the net. The crowd gasped. Paris was stunned. But this wasn't the end of the story. It was merely the beginning. Luis Enrique's vision. Behind the touchline, Luis Enrique stood calm, his hands folded, his expression sharp. He didn't flinch, because for him, this wasn't chaos. It was the test he'd been waiting for. Since his arrival, Enrique had been on a mission to transform PSG from a collection of superstars into a cohesive, fearless unit. Gone were the days of relying solely on individual brilliance. Under him, the focus was on pressing, structure, and collective identity. And even though the scoreboard didn't reflect it yet, his plan was in motion. Every misplaced pass, every failed build-up attempt was data. Every Tottenham press was a lesson. By halftime, PSG were down, but not broken. In the dressing room, Enrique's words cut through the noise. He didn't shout, he didn't scold. He spoke with purpose. He reminded his players that comebacks aren't built on miracles. They're built on belief. And that belief was about to ignite.
No angle to shoot, really. Ericsson.
The turning point. As the second half began, something shifted. PSG came out like a storm, with fire in their movement and rhythm in their passing. Luis Enrique's tactical switch was clear. More direct transitions, quicker rotations, and the midfield pushing higher to break Tottenham's compact lines. The tempo changed. The crowd felt it. The roar grew louder. And then, it happened. A moment of brilliance. PSG's first equalizer ripped through Tottenham's defensive shape. The stadium erupted, a wave of sound washing over the players. From despair to belief, from silence to chaos, the energy transformed the night. Tottenham tried to regain control, but Paris smelled blood. This wasn't just football anymore. It was poetry written in real time. Enrique's adjustments were bold. His fullbacks bombed forward, the midfield pressed higher, and the attacking trio moved with precision. Each pass carried intent, each movement carried meaning. The message was clear. PSG weren't done. The heart of a champion. Every great comeback is built not only on tactics, but on heart. And PSG's resurgence was full of it. The players fought for every inch. Every tackle felt like defiance, every interception like redemption. Luis Enrique's philosophy, to play brave football, was now alive on the pitch. Tottenham, who once looked composed, began to falter. Their structure broke under the relentless pressure. PSG's pressing suffocated them. The French giants were no longer chasing the game, they were dictating it. And then came the goal that changed everything. A lightning-fast counter, born from courage and precision. The second goal, PSG had turned the match on its head. The stadium shook with emotion. The fans, once anxious, now sang as one. For the first time in a long while, PSG looked like a team with both soul and structure. They weren't just winning, they were believing. Luis Enrique's masterclass. Every decision Enrique made was deliberate. He adjusted his midfield pivot, using rotations that pulled Tottenham out of position. His wingers stayed wide, stretching the backline and creating pockets of space for central runs. But what truly stood out wasn't the tactics, it was the control. Even with the lead, PSG didn't sit back. They attacked with precision, defended with unity, and dictated tempo like champions. Luis Enrique didn't just outplay Tottenham, he outthought them. It was his signature style, tactical intelligence blended with emotional command. A reminder that modern football isn't only about possession or pace. It's about adaptability, rhythm, and trust in the system. And for the first time, PSG showed all of it in one perfect night.
So step up from 12 yards.
Tottenham's desperation. Tottenham weren't about to go quietly. As the clock ticked down, they threw everything forward, desperate to find a late equalizer. The match became chaos, end to end, raw. PSG's defense, however, held strong. Every clearance, every save, every block felt monumental. The players knew what was at stake. Not just a trophy, but redemption. In those final minutes, the entire stadium held its breath. The sound of each tackle echoed. The intensity was suffocating. Tottenham's final attempt came in stoppage time, a curve curling shot aimed for the top corner, but the PSG goalkeeper stretched wide, fingertips brushing the ball away. It was over. The whistle blew. PSG, against all odds, had done it. A moment of glory. As the fireworks lit up the Paris sky, the players collapsed to the ground, exhausted, emotional, victorious. Luis Enrique's calm demeanor finally cracked into a smile. He embraced his staff, his players, and the moment itself. For PSG, this wasn't just a trophy. It was a statement, a message to Europe that Paris had evolved. No longer a team dependent on individual brilliance, but a collective force built on balance, intelligence, and resilience. The Super Cup was theirs, but more importantly, so was their identity, the meaning behind the miracle. Every comeback carries a deeper truth. For PSG, this was more than football. It was a reflection of their journey, a story of failure, criticism, and ultimate rebirth. Luis Enrique had faced doubts since the day he arrived. Many questioned whether his philosophy could work in a team full of egos and superstars. But through patience and discipline, he proved that leadership isn't about control, it's about conviction. He turned a fractured dressing room into a unified force. He turned doubt into belief, and he turned a lost final into an unforgettable triumph. The match against Tottenham wasn't just a comeback, it was a metaphor, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, belief can rewrite destiny.
To the Champions League final.
The anatomy of a comeback. To truly understand PSG's victory, one must look beyond the scoreline. It wasn't just about goals, it was about transformation, mental resilience. After conceding early, PSG refused to panic. They adapted, stayed composed, and trusted the process. Tactical evolution. Enrique's decision to switch to a more vertical style turned the tide. Collective spirit. Every player contributed, from defensive grit to creative build-up. Emotional control. Even in chaos, PSG's structure remained intact. This was modern football at its finest. Passion and precision, chaos and control, art and science blending into one unforgettable display. Legacy in motion. Great teams aren't remembered only for their trophies. They're remembered for their defining moments. For PSG, this was one of them. The Super Cup victory marked the birth of a new era, an era where the club's ambition aligned with its identity. Luis Enrique had done what many before him couldn't. He gave Paris Saint-Germain a soul. This wasn't about revenge or validation. It was about evolution. And evolution, in football, is everything.
Saw the run, the place. Here's Heung-min Son.
A city reborn. As the celebrations filled the streets of Paris, the fans knew they had witnessed something special. Not just a comeback, but a turning point. The city that lives for beauty had finally seen beauty in its football again. From the banners waving in the stands to the chants echoing through the night, the message was clear. Paris believes again. Luis Enrique's philosophy had become more than just a strategy. It had become a symbol of unity, of resilience, of the Parisian spirit that refuses to fade.
Well, a lot of that came because Alan Hudson was injured.
The Paris miracle. In football, there are victories, and then there are miracles. This night, this comeback was one of them. Luis Enrique and his men reminded the world that the game isn't won by talent alone. It's won by courage, belief, and the relentless refusal to give up. Tottenham played with pride, but Paris played with purpose. And when purpose meets passion, magic happens. The Super Cup belongs to PSG, the story belongs to history, and the miracle belongs to Paris. If you enjoyed this cinematic breakdown of PSG's historic comeback, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more football documentaries that bring the game's greatest moments to life.